Hello and welcome to this video in which we will discover 7 simple ways to spot a liar. There is a multitude of useful criteria to identify a liar. This is helpful because too many people constantly lie. Relatives, friends, comrades, or even strangers lie for many reasons. It may be to apologize, to avoid problems, or to impress you. But regardless of their motive, at times it can be very difficult to spot their lies. It's even more painful to be lied to by someone whom you are close to. If you are looking for ways to be sure of what someone is saying, there are many techniques that can help you identify these lies. In this video, you will learn 7 simple, effective, and very relevant ways to spot a liar. But just before, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to download your free book to change your life by clicking on the link in the description below the video. The look. If you suspect someone is lying, look at their face for signs of the look. This is one of the most obvious signs to look for. Generally, a liar's gaze is very evasive. They look everywhere, yet nowhere. They avoid making eye contact and always find diversions when they notice you are observing them carefully. They will always look at you when they think you're not observing them to study your actions. As the individual is speaking, start asking yourself questions about what this person is telling you, because perhaps they could be lying to you again. However, some people have pushed the art of lying to a level where they are able to lie to someone while looking at them straight in the eye. In these cases, use other criteria to reassure yourself. The voice. When the person you are talking with adopts a voice that is lower than usual and especially seems to be hesitant, there are obvious signs that they may not be telling you the truth. An example of another unnatural behavior would be when someone who is not a stutterer starts to stutter when talking. This should perk your attention. When speaking with a stranger, study the variations of their voice to determine if they are lying to you. An individual who is speaking the truth generally will not fumble their words, and their voice will remain at an even tone throughout your conversation. Even if your questions place them under pressure, chances are if they are being truthful, they will not stammer. Ask unexpected questions and analyze. Difficult or unpredictable questions allow you to easily identify a liar. To effectively use this technique, it is very important to take your time and follow the story the person is telling you carefully. You must analyze each of their sentences word by word to detect a flaw, a suspicious or annoying detail. If you notice anything inconsistent, don't hesitate to ask them questions. Depending on how this individual reacts to the question asked, you will already be able to deduce whether they are lying to you. For example, if the suspect gets defensive and expresses that their feelings are hurt because of your questioning or answers you with gibberish, then it is very likely that they faked the story. Perhaps because they wanted to impress you, apologize, or are avoiding you. Above all, avoid asking the suspect questions with obvious answers. Take your time and analyze their story, and carefully ask questions that will confuse someone if they are lying. This technique will enable you to detect a lie. The inconsistency. It is difficult, if not impossible, for someone who lies to you to remain very consistent with their story. Regardless of the person's proficiency with lying, it is possible to spot a liar because they will always tend to talk about something very difficult to achieve. A liar lacks knowledge at times with these stories and tends to mix what may be real with events that are purely and simply fictional. For example, if you ask them to recount the same story a second time, they will try to find a diversion to avoid repeating their lies. It's only because the liar knows that if they have to repeat their story, there will be many details that were mentioned the first time that would have been forgotten the second time. For example, a first story might be his comrade came to visit him after the departure of his fiancée. But when the story is retold, it changes to his comrade came to visit him before the arrival of his fiancée. This type of inconsistency is simple and clear proof that the person is lying to you. Memory failure. Often when a person lies, they don't remember all the little details of their story. The more time that passes, the more details they forget. For example, if you ask a person to retell a story that they had initially told you a few weeks before, it would be very difficult for them to repeat it with the same amount of details as the first time if they were lying. They will forget to mention many events that were initially described and will be in total confusion. In the worst case, the pathological liar will refuse to tell you again by looking for a diversion or changing the subject. If you insist, they will try to play innocent or even make you feel guilty about your lack of self-confidence. Know that a real story that was experienced remains engraved in a person's memory for a very long time. Every detail stays in their head as if they were reliving it every day. This is the very opposite of a fabricated story that is forgotten only minutes after it is told. In some situations, if you doubt a story someone has told you, it is preferable not to mention it immediately to them. Rather, wait a few days before asking them your questions. For example, remember what you told me? Please remind me of the color of the hat he was wearing. If the individual takes a long time to remember this detail, then it was a lie. Too much detail. When someone tells you stories that are false, they often detail each of the parameters with great care and precision. For example, shapes and colors, scenes, and even places will be described. This high precision is a tactic intended to make their story appear more credible. For example, if you ask someone where they were, they might reply, "I was at the supermarket to buy some milk and spices. I almost even bought a ham, but I was attracted by discounts on sugar packages. Oh, and I met my former ecology teacher when I was leaving." These excessive details for a very simple question, especially when the person is not typically talkative, should catch your attention as they are signs that the storyteller is lying. The excess details in a false story are similar to the workings of a writer or film producer who takes great care to arrange every detail of their film. After all, their goal is to capture the attention of their audience so that they can immerse themselves in their imaginary world. So when you encounter this scenario, ask yourself questions. The stress. When someone is lying to you, often they will appear stressed. Perhaps the individual is unable to stand still, as if looking for a more comfortable position. They may get up, sit down, or stretch because their conscience judges them on the act they perform. This inner guilt is so heavy that it makes it very difficult for them to stand still. Thus, they constantly move about and avoid drawing your attention to their behavior. If the person in question is a relative, he or she will tend to become weird when he or she starts lying to you. It is difficult for a liar to remain calm unless they are a pathological liar, because lying is a difficult burden for many people to bear. If the person you suspect of lying is fragile, they may let their emotions dictate their behavior. As a result, it may be difficult for them to stand still. In addition, there are many other effective techniques to spot liars. For example, they display false emotions, a fake smile, or even false tears. Their behavior can change, micro-expressions too, and even particular postures, hiding behind objects and seeming to be in a sudden hurry. A blink that is a little excessive is an involuntary sign that the brain sends to report a problem. It is therefore very easy to use them. A blink that is a little excessive is an involuntary sign that the brain sends to report a problem. It is therefore very easy using this variety of methods to effectively unmask those people who betray your trust by lying to you. So be very attentive to these signals, which are often obvious to spot. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment, and especially subscribe to the channel. You are also free to receive the new book, 7 Secrets to Change Your Life Now, by clicking on the link in the description below the video.